Well, I'm in the 240 for a good reason. We're finally starting the 240-gallon paludarium custom built by Custom Aquariums. They are one of my channel sponsors for today's video, along with Bulk Reef Supply. They were nice enough to be able to support my crazy dream of an open air 240-gallon tank, and my man, I am so excited and so lucky that they were able to help me out with this build. Obviously, this is a massive project and it can't be done in one day, so we're gonna be breaking this down into a few separate weekends. And up for today, we're doing basically all the planning for all the equipment, and we're going to be plumbing all the PVC joints. We're going to be getting in the critical equipment like our heaters, our pump, and just some other, bits and pieces here and there, like the lighting that we're putting in underneath the stand. But as you can tell, I am a little flustered, a little excited. So I think the best thing to do now is just to dive in and get it done. This is gonna be sort of a different style of a video. I'm kind of over all of the overhyped product review videos, the overly done, just super excited videos. I just wanna let you guys know, how I'm doing this, and I don't wanna explain it like I'm some pro or I'm some big influencer. This is a first time for me, and every part of this is gonna be a first time for me. So I just want you to see how I go through it, how I experience it. And I want to introduce you to Kyle. He's going to be helping us out with this.
Hi, I'm Kyle.
I always recommend to you guys, if you know a friend, or if you have a good YouTube video, or if you have someone at a fish store that knows what you're doing, ask for help. Utilize your resources. With something like this, if I just winged it on the first try, there'd probably be errors, but if I utilize my friends and people that I know that have done this for years, why not utilize them? So Kyle and I today are gonna be showing you how we're gonna be plumbing this together, how we're gonna be setting up the project down the road, and I am so excited, and thank you so much for being along this journey. Hopefully in a month we're gonna have this fully planted, cycled, and full of fish. Let's get into it. All right, and for step one for today's build, we're gonna be installing some LED light strips inside the cabinet so we can get a good idea and have it lit up, so when we're doing our plumbing, it looks really good and it's not just a dark black hole in here. Quick thing that we did off camera is we took these little clips here and drilled them into the top of our stand so we can take our LED light strips and place them in here, and the way that these lights work is they shine light down onto a surface. So in my head, I see it kind of illuminating the back wall of this stand, and I think it's just gonna make the space super colorful and bright. So anytime I'm in here doing maintenance, I'll be able to clearly see what I'm doing. So I'm gonna cut to us getting this fitted and hopefully power it on and see how it looks. Let's do it.
So start in the very back one.
Oh, I got you, okay.
Yeah. Twist this.
Those actually fit flush against the wall.
Oh, baby.
Because of the thickness of them. Oh wow, that looks professional. You just eyeballed those?
Yeah.
My man. Yeah. Yeah. My would have been like, well, we gotta measure it. Dude, and it hugs the corner perfectly. Perfect. And we can put in little screws for that the control box right there. I can't believe we're finally doing it.
It's happening.
It's happening. All right, so as you can see, the lighting is just how I imagined. This nice white flush light is just a dream for under that cabinet. With that out of the way, we're ready to start cutting up some PVC and getting our hard lines plumbed. I believe we're gonna be working with our drainage pumps first, and then we're gonna work over to our return lines. Doing the drainage is just a little bit easier because doing that, you're very limited with the space you have. So we're gonna be working from the drainage points up to the bulkheads that are up back there. So it's basically just gonna be almost like a PVC Lego piece. We're just gonna work by it piece by piece, cut it to shape, glue it, and hopefully we're gonna be able to water test this and pray to God no leaks there. So let's get to cutting.
So the first things first is to make sure that you get all your surfaces prepped and clean, which they are, and then we just prime everything, glue everything. So if anything, it might be helpful to have you kind of holding this here, because we're gonna need to go between all this stuff like fairly quickly.
Yeah, 100%.
And then I'll probably have you push it in.
Yeah.
But when you push it in, you know, it's all going to be glued, and it's already against the back, so you're just going to push it and then hold for like a good, you know, 20 seconds, and at that point it's solid and we can release and it's done.
Easy. Okay, cool. All right, so now Kyle and I are getting these PVC joints glued. The first step with this is to use that purple primer on all the parts that are going to be in contact, and then you use the clear one that is going to be that PVC cement. And Kyle and I just wanted to make sure that this line was very well secured, because it is the frontward facing line, which will connect our water reservoir to our pump chamber. So this is a awesome part of the seamless sump that I really like. It just ensures that you have stable water in there, and the lines will carry that water over. So just so I'm explaining this right, because I know you told me differently than I said, the siphon stopper means when water touches this, it triggers this to not have a back siphon.
These things are allowing water, you know, from your return to feed through.
Okay.
And when the pump stops, if these were not there, the water would gravity feed back down into your sump until it got to this level, and then it would break the siphon.
Okay, so it's basically making the level this instead of this.
Yeah, so as soon as your pump stops, these are going to start pulling air.
Okay.
And the siphon breaks.
Okay, that's perfect.
And that way you don't, in a loss of power, have half of your tank siphon back into the sump and overflow.
Okay, perfect. Well,
yeah, so you want to pull this off probably.
Okay.
For your demonstration.
We're live right now, baby.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, really, you're just going to be showing that this rubber grommet is on the inside of the tank.
Okay, cool. Well, as you guys heard our pro Kyle explain that, what Custom Aquariums has done for their tanks is they've made this siphon stopper, I don't know what you call that, a module or whatever, but what it does is just what Kyle said. It's a safety measure. So if for whatever reason you lose power unexpectedly, without your water draining through here, it's gonna just give it a higher point, so you don't have anything to worry about. And what we're gonna be doing is making sure this grommet is in the water side of the tank. We're gonna install it just as is, dry fit it, and then when we come to putting the PVC on there, we'll add the glue and get it secured. And that just gets hand tightened. That doesn't have to get glued or anything.
We're gonna do a very small wrench tightening on it.
Okay, so
yeah,
just a little bit of a torque.
It's more or less hand tight.
Okay.
And then just like the smallest wrench torque.
So that rubber grommet is kind of what replaces the need for tight gluing.
Correct.
Got it, got it,
And
cool.
with both.
All right, so another awesome feature of the Custom Aquariums custom built tank is their seamless sump package. You get this seamless sump down here, as well as their H2 overflow box. And as you can see here, there's two different size heights of here. So when the water's draining, it's not as loud, right, Kyle? Correct. Perfect. So, and then what this does is it just attaches right to the back, and both of the drains are gonna drain right down in here. So let's get this installed. Perfect. So now we are working on our two main drain return bulkheads that are gonna be connected to the seamless sump H2O overflow box. This box is a really cool thing. It helps quiet down your sump and allows you to easily adjust the water level in your tank. And as you can see here, Kyle was able to get back there while I was on the front holding them in place, and we just screwed them into position and made sure they were really snug. Oh God.
Yeah. You don't by chance have like a Sawzall, do you?
No. Oh yeah. We're doing our first hardware store trip of the project. I knew it always happened. Anytime you do a big project like this, it's just a matter of how many times you're gonna have to go back to the hardware store. So we're here to get a PVC cutter that can cut our big drainage pipes. So we're looking for one. All right, so we're back from the hardware store. Ace unfortunately didn't have everything we needed, but you know Home Depot has always got us covered. Cue the music. Din, 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 din. And we got Kyle, he's helping me cut our big return drains. So we're gonna cut those to size, fit them into place, and yeah, we'll just keep the camera rolling so you can kind of see the process that Kyle's got here. I'm learning this for the first time too, and I'm just very thankful that I have someone that is familiar with doing this, because
Hi, I'm Kyle.
I would not be able to sleep at night knowing that I was the one that plumbed all of this. I would just be a nervous wreck. So like I said in the beginning, if you got a pro, utilize it. That would have been a nightmare doing with a saw.
It's just a lot of cuts.
Yeah.
So now that we have our H2O overflow box securely fitted to the tank, it was now time to fit and secure all the PVC piping to give us our hard plumbing. I always liked the look of a PVC hard plumb on a sump, so thankfully Kyle was actually an expert in doing these sump installations. So here he is walking me through how we are trimming and cutting all of our PVC pipes to fit to the sump. One awesome part of doing this is we were able to put an adjustable ball valve on the main drain line so that we can make really fine-tuned adjustments to our sump so we can quiet it down, or really just have more control over it all. And just look how good that looks in there.
All right, so I just want to take a quick second to fill you guys in on a little bit of my process and what we're doing here. When you order from Custom Aquariums and you get their seamless sump package, they include pre-measured soft tubing. But for what I want in my application for this project, I ended up having to move the seamless sump into a different position than when these were originally measured out from the company. So what I decided to do is, with the help of Kyle being a master plumber and knowing how to hardline a tank, we went ahead and just went for the hardline option, because me moving the sump around would have caused these soft tubings to have some sagging areas, so when water was moving through them, you would get a lot of flushing noises because the water would build up, and then once it got too much, you would hear a big flush of water go through. So doing the hardlined option is just working for my situation and how I want my cabinet to go. But I just want to remind you guys that when you order through Custom Aquariums, you get everything you need to make it a plug-and-play system, so don't worry about hardlining anything.
All right, we are moving right along. We got everything cut and dry fit properly the way we liked it. So now we're gonna do the final part of gluing everything into place. It's kind of like a PVC Lego kit with glue, and once it's glued, it is very hard to undo. But what we did for the H2O overflow box was to remove it from the tank just so we could apply the proper pressure to fit in these PVC pipes. So you can see here, Kyle and I are holding that in and making sure those pipes are securely fitted. And then lucky Kyle, he had to get back there again to squeeze in the H2O overflow box into the two hard lines. Man, what a champ. Thank you so much, Kyle.
All right, guys, we are done with our hard plumbing drainage lines, and now we're on to the return pump lines. Basically, we're gonna be getting this Vectra M2 out of the box and getting our lines all measured out. I just wanted to show you this pump. It is a beefcake. Look at this thing. This is the first time I've ever seen a pump this big and just look this cool. I'm excited to see how much water it pushes. But yeah, if you're interested on any of the equipment that you're seeing in this build and today's video and beyond, it's all available over at Bulk Reef Supply. They have these Vectra M2s, they have the heaters, they have anything you need for any size aquarium project. And I am so thankful we're gonna be able to use these Vectra M2s on today's build.
And in goes the Ecotech Vectra M2 that will be the main return pump for our entire build.
All right, so we're now moving on to our return lines. We have our Vectra pump placed where it needs to go. And a little pro tip I wanted to share with you guys, if you ever have this soft vinyl tubing that is just super rigid and it's just not bending, all we did this morning before we started the project, I went outside and placed it in the sun, stretched it out the best I could, and put 2 heavy rocks on either end. And now you can see this really hard tubing has a lot of flexibility now, so it's gonna be easier to measure, cut, and just get it into place. I can't believe how fast this progress is going. I just told Kyle and Max that feels like every step we get through is just like a huge weight off my shoulders, and I am just getting more and more excited by the minute. So stay tuned. We're gonna get this return line pumped, and then we're gonna start filling her up and hopefully do a water test here. All right, you guys see what Kyle's doing there? It's actually a pretty smart tip. What he's doing is we have a glass of hot water, and he's dipping the soft tubing into that hot water to make it a little bit more pliable. So when we put it on the barb fitting, it's not gonna be a wrench in that thing on. It's just gonna slide right on. And then when that tubing cools, it'll actually give it a tighter seal on it. We have finished with all the return plumbing, all of the drainage plumbing, and now it's on to the fun part where this turns into a real project. We're gonna go hook up the Python to the hose out back, and we're gonna see just how long it takes to fill this up with some water. We're gonna turn the pump on, get the heaters fitted, make sure there's no random little drip leaks or anything like that. Kind of just embrace it, how good it looks, drain it up. All right, so we are at weekend 2 of the incredible custom aquarium, 240 gallon open air paludarium. I am only able to do most of this work on the weekends because I work a regular job. So on this Saturday, I just wanted to kind of start out with showing you what I got done over the weekdays when I got off work, and then also what we're planning on doing for today's big part. So for starters, over the weekend, we took silicone, the aquarium safe silicone, and we sprayed it all over this wall. Main reason why we did this is it gives the spray foam something to hook to, because spray foam on flat glass isn't a super secure bond and it could potentially fall over time. So this is kind of just a redundancy here. And then we had to go ahead and put our wood pieces up just so they were taped in place. So when we do the spray foam and it expands, it's not gonna push this out or make it all weird. So I am extraordinarily happy with how these wood pieces came out. It kind of just happened naturally. If you see it, this kind of goes down in a nice little flow. And then this side just has that nice little up arcing right here. And it's kind of hard to imagine where plants will go, but if you see like little areas like this is kind of gonna be prime planting areas. Just having a plant here, whether it's draping down, growing straight up, coming off these branches. I'm just way too stoked to see the plants on here. But for today's project, we're gonna get messy, and this project's going to get real really fast. We're going to be taking spray foam. We have all our spray foam here. This is just the Great Stuff Pond spray foam. You can find it at any hardware store, and it's really good with helping with water. So what we're gonna do is take all these cases and just start spraying like crazy. It's gonna be messy, so as you can see, we're putting up some of this painter film. Even the dogs are excited. We're gonna be putting up some painter's film here and literally just spraying like crazy. Let that sit for about a week to cure, and then we're gonna come in with X-Acto knives, utility blades, and we're gonna carve it to make it look as natural as possible. All right, so I thought I'd give you another quick update before we jump into the spray foam. We fully water tested all our plumbing and the tank. Fortunately, the tank is leak proof and we didn't see any problems there. Custom Aquariums ensures that all of their tanks are the best on the market, so you don't really have to worry about that. And then with our hard plumbing, if you come under here, the only place we had a little tiny drip leak was actually right here in front of this connection, and the little drip leak was actually dripping back into the sump. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna put some more sealant around this connection, and our entire system will be leak proof and tested, and it'll be ready for some water and all the other additional equipment.
All right, now things are getting real. We're busting out the ladder so we can climb in the tank and start laying down a lot of protective sheets, so when we spray foam, we don't get it covering the wall or the carpet. My wife would absolutely get mad at me if I did that, so we have to make sure we get it all protected. Spray foam is very messy and can be a daunting process if you're trying to clean it off the wall and the carpet. So as you can see here, Kyle's taken his little tape and, I don't know, protective sheet layer, and we're just taping it around the borders of the entire tank, so when we spray, we don't have to worry about it going anywhere.
Or putting that thing on.
Okay.
I think.
I think.
No, I'm pretty sure we gotta shake these things pretty good.
Do we want to put anything on the bottom of the fish tank so it doesn't fall in the glass, or will that just come off?
Dude, that'll just, yeah.
Pick right off? Okay, cool.
Yeah. Easy peasy.
So I've never used this stuff before, I'll be quite honest with you, but I'm excited to learn. This whole entire project has been a learning experience, and I always recommend to you guys, just try it out, and also contact your friends or family if they know what they're doing, like my man Kyle right here.
Hi, I'm Kyle.
Go get some help and just get some assistance. It'll make the learning process that much better, and it'll make you feel more comfortable about your build.
Spray foam.
All right, so I just wanted to show you a little bit of the process of what we're doing right now so you can understand better. with a plant wall, majority of these plants that are going to be growing on the wall are going to be more vine plants that can kind of just be placed wherever. But there are going to be some key plants up here that need some form of structure and stability to them. So what we're doing is we're taking these slotted net pots and we're cutting them in half like so. And as you can see, we're just going to find places on the wall in between the wood where these can sit in, and then we're going to put the leca in there, which will give it water retention, structure, stability, and this will just be easily hidden by all the spray foam in the wood. And then once those plants mature, you will probably not even see the wood or these at all. So right now we're just gonna keep cutting these little baskets up, finding spots for them to go, and then we're gonna start spray foaming. I have never worked with spray foam. I think that's wrong. I've worked with it once for a little tiny dab of spray foam, but we're just gonna let Kyle start spray foaming. This is all an experiment at the end of the day because we really don't know how well the spray foam is going to sit on the wall. So our idea is to start kind of at the bottom, let that cure, so then we can start going upwards instead of starting at the top and it potentially, you know, sagging down or just falling before it can get a good hold on the wall. But this is an experiment. It's first time for everything. Let's get spraying.
This was one part that we were a little worried about because typically this is a technique done in most terrariums, but when you do this in a terrarium, you're able to lay the glass down on a flat surface. So when we tackled this project, we knew we just had to go slow with it and cross our fingers that the spray foam was able to hold up and not completely slide down. That is one of the main reasons we siliconed the glass before we started spray foaming. And just doing this entire process was a blast. It was extremely satisfying. It was just like painting with some really messy paint. So as you can see here, Kyle was doing the first little test bit on the left-hand side, and it honestly went on like a breeze.
So it's kind of working. Kyle found out that the original way he went in at it was kind of at too much of an angle, and he immediately realized if you just kind of go at it straight on, the spray foam actually forces itself against the wall and spreads out that way, so it gets the seat that it needs. Oh, I got my hand covered. But it's working, it's happening, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna keep going along this side, hoping that by the time that this is done, that's gonna have enough of a dry cure to it that we can put a secondary layer on top of it to make it fill in. But this is exciting, it's working, it's happening. Let's keep doing it.
Right away, we realized if we start at the bottom and let that harden and work our way up, it gave the spray foam something to really hold on to and not have any potential of sliding down. As you can tell here, I loved watching it all go down. At first, it felt like a messy disaster, but I could see the final image. Immediately, I gave it a shot, and you could already tell Kyle was way better at it. He's done this many times before, and I was so thankful for him to help me out doing this.
Hi, I'm Kyle.
Spray foam, as you can tell, doesn't look very natural, but spray foam is very easy to carve into shape. It was a messy time, and one of the biggest challenges was actually fitting the spray foam nozzles to the top of those bottles. Once we really got into the hang of it, it went super easy. We used about 12 full cans of this spray foam, and it was all coming together.
All right, I guess we'll give a little update here. So it's actually working as planned. We started from the bottom and then kind of just filled up our way up top. Right now we're just letting it cure until we go in and provide that second layer of just adding texture, adding more support to the wood. I was just talking with Kyle about the tape, and realistically the tape that's up here will be easily pulled off, taken off, and then any of the ones that are right here that are kind of hard to reach, probably just use an X-Acto knife, pull those pieces off, cover it with cocoa coir and sphagnum moss, and like Kyle said, it'll eventually just all become one living wall, especially with all the plants growing, and all the foliage will just be covering, you know, any eyesore or anything like that. So right now we're gonna let this cure up a little bit. As you can see, it's already kind of becoming solid from this little thing here. You can see this is getting more cured and hard. Zeke's even excited. Goodness gracious, Zeke. And so Zeke's excited, I'm excited, we're excited. Let's let it cure and we'll come back for another round of spray foam.
Once we had our base layer in, we used the rest of the spray foam to fill in any loose gaps where you could see the glass through the spray foam. and we also used the spray foam to make sure all the wood was really secured to the entire wall so there was no problems in the future. And then we topped it off by adding some height and elevation to some spots to make it not appear so flat.
All right, well, we got another weekend project finished with the spray foam. Kyle has been an absolute godsend for this project. I cannot thank him enough for this. This is the man right here.
Hi, I'm Kyle.
He's been able to figure out how to get this spray foam to work perfectly. And for whatever reason, we got lucky today and it just worked perfectly. A lot of times when people are building these spray foam paludariums or terrariums, they do them with the tank laying down on the ground so you can actually lay it down and use gravity to assist you. So that's why we were a little worried going after this project today, but we did it slow and controlled and it ended up working perfectly. We're just gonna keep letting this dry, and probably on the next weekend, we're gonna do a lot of carving on the wall to make it look more natural. We're gonna get some cocoa core, silicone that to some pieces just to make it look natural. And then after that's all said and done, we're gonna actually start putting our main wood pieces in and doing the hardscape. We are on to stage 2 of the open air 8-foot, 240 gallon custom aquarium build. We got all the logistical stuff out of the way. We got all of our plumbing handled. We made sure all of our equipment fits and works. We got our wood pieces and spray foam sprayed. Now it's time to jump in and get creative. Let's get to carving.
So now that the spray foam was all hardened, it was time to remove our tape that was holding the wood pieces into place and then bust out the knives to get the spray foam shaved down. It was an extremely fun process. I don't know if I liked putting the spray foam on or carving it to shape. It was both just an incredibly enjoyable process. But the main goal of using these X-Acto blades was to make it not look so unnatural and also open up some pockets for plants, vines, and also some water channels to be able to better funnel into the tank itself. So as you can see here, we're just making it more flat and not so rounded. So later when we add our cocoa core and silicone, it looks more like a rock embankment that you would see on the side of a riverbed. Throughout this part of the project, one thing Kyle and I kept saying back and forth was just trust yourself and believe in the final image of this project. It'll all come together. This definitely took some time to carve into shape, but it was very entertaining and very messy. But in the end, it really came to.
We're filming.
Oh yeah.
Let's do your thing.
All right, so we got all the channels carved. We got all the pots picked open. We got everything kind of made more natural. And right now we're just kind of visualizing. I'm pretty sure the water line's gonna be about like right there. So roots and stuff will just end up covering there. If you want, stand up on here and show inside the pots. So if you guys can see, our bigger plants are gonna be going in these potted areas, and we only have what, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's already a lot of bigger potted plants that are gonna be able to sit in there. And what we're doing, just so you guys can see it, is in these pots we're gonna put leca, which is basically an inert media that are just expanded clay balls that'll give the plant some structure and let those roots go. And what we're gonna do next is we're gonna go get a little drill and we're gonna drill underneath these bigger potted plants to allow the drainage to happen. And where that water's draining, we're gonna be able to put even more plants or just some moss. But yeah, if you look at the little holes on the right and left of the tank, we're gonna have water coming out of there, and it's basically gonna be set up as almost like a drip irrigation system where it's not gonna be flowing water where it's just gonna be, you know, this hole is gonna be a water wall. It's just gonna be a nice little subtle drip throughout the day, just to keep those roots nice and moist. And then, like I said, the water running off of it is gonna be able to feed some of the other plants that we're just gonna tack up to that wall. But as you can tell, it looks really good. It still looks kind of like a mess, but you know, it's part of the process. Like I always said, we gotta trust the process, and I guess let's get some drilling done, maybe eat some lunch, and we'll keep on going.
We'll have to go in It's like this one right here, you should probably put a hole right there.
Here, and get in
You
there.
do it?
Yeah, get in there, big dog. Easy peasy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and this side's exposed too, so it's
Even
gonna go
this
into your
right
little
here.
pocket. All right, we're just gonna lay some towels down. We got everything carved up. I believe that's as best as we're gonna get. It looks incredible. It doesn't look like weird, you know, wormy spray foam. So basically, lay the towels down. We're gonna get silicone, gloop it up all over the wall, and we're gonna take some cocoa core and we're going to press it all along the wall so it looks like exactly what Kyle said. We're gonna make it look like a natural embankment just sitting on top of a river. And you know, the whole goal of this tank is to make it look like it's a huge chunk taken out of the Amazon River, because we're gonna have all those severums and the geos and the bashirs in there. So that, with this natural embankment up top, is gonna look amazing. So let's get these down. So if you can see this is just what you call cocoa core. It's where they take coconut husks and they basically grind it into this awesome little powdery dirt substance. It's really good for water, it's really good for roots, and it's gonna make for a perfect medium to take that black and make it more of a brown looking thing. So we're just gonna put it right in the tank and start siliconing. You silicone, I packed it.
Should we try this test part off camera, or should we try it
Yeah,
on
let's do
camera?
it. Keep it rolling.
I'll keep it rolling.
Yeah, if it fails, you know, I always put in the little corner about it failed, part
Yeah.
2.
Okay, let's just, I'm gonna put some right here,
Okay.
and then, I think, you'll probably wanna use one hand to kind of smear, and then use the other hand to try to like pack.
Okay.
And then I might even keep this under there, because as you pack, you know, only like the front layer is gonna like go up there. So a lot of it's gonna fall back down.
Okay. And then yeah, you just take the vacuum to the inside of this tank.
Yeah.
Get it all clean again, okay?
All right, you ready?
Do you want me to smear it
Yeah, after
before I
kinda-
put that up?
Yeah,
Okay.
so we'll gloop it on. And yeah, just go ahead and smear.
We're not going to take deep breaths when we're inside the tank this time.
Right.
We're going to learn from our previous mistakes.
There it is.
There it is. We're just, you know, whatever that guy's called there.
Yeah, and then I would just press straight in. Yeah, and then whatever stays, stays. Whatever falls, falls.
There's more staying than I thought.
Yeah, it holds up pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna change this glove off, and I'm gonna start going because this is working. Cool?
It's working a little too well.
Cool.
Yeah. That one really got me. Yeah, we both got a good one at the same time. So while having so much exposed silicone, you can tell the chemicals are messing with it. Make sure you do it in a well-ventilated area. We are in my living room with, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4 fans right now, and it's still intense, but whenever you're working with silicone, just make sure to use gloves and be safe with it, because it's quite spicy. Yeah, that hit us at the same time. Looks so good. Let's keep that in there.
Yeah, it looks really good.
I just still love how it comes down this side, and then that's like a little swoosh.
Yeah, it looks good, man. It's working.
I love it.
It's working.
Pokemon. Sorry, I'm getting uncomfortable on camera. God, that looks so good. To fix the coco coir to the plant wall, we ended up using non-toxic aquarium-safe silicone, spread it all over the spray foam, and then we dabbed it down into place when we took handfuls of coco coir and just slapped it up against the wall, gave it a good press, shook off the excess, and that's as easy as it was to add that coco coir to the wall. But man, oh man, next time we would definitely do this wearing masks. We're getting to the end of the coco coir, baby.
Actually smells good.
And
Dude, nice.
just like that, we finished up all the coco coir. Luckily, my wife is in the other room enjoying some video games, so that gives me about an hour or two to start cleaning up, so she does not see this disaster. But as you can tell, it has been a crazy productive day. Kyle, thank you so much, brother. We've just been knocking it out. I would say officially this is the stage where it really starts looking real and it just stops looking like a messy project. Obviously, it doesn't, but I can really visualize where the plants are gonna go. I can really see where the equipment's gonna go. I can really see now my wood pieces are just gonna match perfectly, and I just can't wait for more.
All right, well, it is weekend number 4. We have been doing this over the last month, and we are finally onto the stage where we can let our creativity shine. We are not gonna be doing a crazy intense aquascape for today. Mainly we're focusing on the giant wood pieces and some lava rocks to create that depth and just the natural look of it all, focusing on as much swim space as we can for our big fish. Because eventually we got some severums and some geophagus and ornate bashirs that are going to get massive. So we wanna make sure they have all the swim space they need, and we have enough viewing space to really see them. So I wanna give them some areas to hide, but I definitely don't wanna make it a tank to where they're always hiding, and whenever I have friends and family over, they can't really see them. So for today's plan, we're going to clean up the tank. As you can see, we are still a little dirty from the coco coir day. We let all that cure just to give it as much time as it needed. We're gonna get the vacuum out. We're gonna vacuum up all that. We're gonna vacuum out the potted plant holders. And then after that, we're going to take our big wood pieces, and just so you guys can see, these are not just little wood pieces. These are about 4 foot tall wood pieces for the tank. We wanna have a big piece of them sticking out of the water to give us that depth and just give us more spaces for planting. Once we get these into the positions, we're going to silicone the feet of them to the glass so that these don't float right up when we fill it up. And then after we do that, we're gonna try to position our lights on, make sure they fit in the spaces that are needed them to be. And then we're gonna grab 300 pounds of sand, dump that into the tank, flatten it out, and then we're gonna place some rocks. My goal with the rocks is to have these lava rocks act as decoration, but also act as a key place for beneficial bacteria to harbor and colonize. Our sump has a decent place for biological material, but I'm thinking these lava rocks are really gonna help hold a lot of beneficial bacteria for the tank. And plus, I'm just a huge fan of lava rocks. I feel like they have a lot of character and they look really good and they're really cheap to get. So I'm just gonna set the camera on the tripod and let it roll. We don't have Max today, but you got Kyle and I, and we're gonna have a good time scaping this tank. Let's crack on into it. We can just go right into the intro right now, right?
What's going on here?
What's going on here? Well, a lot has happened over the past 2 weekends. Kyle and I were able to get the Hardscape finalized, which looks amazing. And something we were able to find a solution for was I was worried of these huge pieces of wood getting not waterlogged, and when we filled it, them just floating up to the top. But what we were able to do is before we laid the sand down, we siliconed all the feet to the glass. So these pieces of wood are in there. I mean, they're not moving, they're not going anywhere. So hopefully they'll stay put and not disrupt the scape. But what we had to get some work done on was our irrigation system. And what Kyle was able to craft up out of his own brain, hi, I'm Kyle, put that scene in there,
Hi, I'm Kyle.
was to create this amazing little PVC pipe that's connected to a submersible pump in our sump area down here. So if you can see the big white pump in the left side, that's gonna run our main line, and then the black AI Axis 90 is gonna be running our plant wall over there. And those are gonna feed both of the irrigation lines, and each one of these little lines is gonna be able to run to all of our planting potted zones, which is an incredible idea. I love how it looks. And at first you might be thinking, man, that's gonna look kind of wonky. But what Kyle and I are thinking about is with all the vines we have and just all the plant mass, we're gonna be able to just put plants right here. And these little lines might be able to hold some plants. You know, a big plant might be coming out here. It might have a leaf that covers it. So over time, you're just gonna let it grow into a little jungle and it will consume it all. But for today, I just wanted to have a chill, fun day for finishing this project. We're gonna be unplanting and unrooting all of our plants, putting them on the wall, and hey, we're gonna get our first fill up today. So I'm so excited to show you. Let's dive right in. And what we're gonna be able to do is, if the camera will focus, if we took these little rubberized paper clips, and what you can do is with the plants and the water line, you can just take it and these little tiny paper clips just stick right into the coco core, and it'll be able to hold the lines wherever we want them. Obviously that's not where that line's going, but it's gonna make it so we can make these lines work with us and kind of be out of the way. We're gonna still see some of them. Like I said earlier, once the plants grow in, it's gonna be a mini jungle, and I doubt we're even gonna be able to see some of these wood pieces. So let's get the little razor blade out, figure out where these lines go best, and we're gonna start filling the tank so we can not only, you know, save us 3 hours of fill time, but once the water's in there, we're gonna be able to test our lines and the plants will be able to get water immediately. So let's crack into it. All right, now it's time to get planting. We got all of our drip lines ran and fitted. We're gonna have to make one little ace trip to get a couple extra things. But while we're doing that, I am going to start prepping all of our plants. And this is a very crucial part. If you're adding house plants to your aquarium or anything around water, you really wanna get all the soil washed off the roots. So we're gonna show you on camera, but you wanna do your best to spray all of the little roots to get the fertilizer and the soil off. Because if that makes contact with our water, not only is it gonna cloud it up, but it's gonna leave a lot of excess nutrients just to let algae go crazy. So always spend an extra 10 to 15 minutes ensuring all of that soil's off. Once we have all of our plants laid out on the ground here, we're gonna get them fitted and placed. And honestly, I have no idea where any of these are gonna go. We're just kinda gonna have fun with them, feel them out, see where they look good, and then we're gonna fill it up with water and turn everything on. So let's get into it. All right, so right now we just finished up getting through some of the plants, getting that soil off, and we realized just how long this takes to fill up. So we just want to know, you know, we have a short window. Once the plants get in there, we want to make sure they get water as soon as they can. So we want to start filling the tank now. So we're gonna kind of kill two birds with one stone, start filling the tank while we finish up getting the plants ready. And by the time we have the plants set, we should be filled up and we can be able to turn on our irrigation system and see how it works. Once we got all of our sand and hardscape finalized, I always use a paper towel when first filling up a new aquarium. This is especially helpful because the water won't penetrate the sand and stir up all the dust. It just makes it an easy filling process, and it looked so cool slowly filling up. I was getting so excited watching water go into this tank for the very first time. While it was filling, we were messing around with some plants, making sure all of their soil was off. I always love messing around with some plants. It's a great time. And we had a lot to unpot and unsoil. We just started laying them out on the table so that when we started the planting process, it was a breeze. Well, it's already been like, what, 35 minutes of filling on full blast on your garden hose on full, and we are a quarter of the way full. We're getting there. But something I just am admiring right now is how cool the wood pieces look with the water on them. You just see all the color gradation on it. I don't know if that's the right word, but that's what I'm gonna go with.
Gradient.
Gradient, yeah, the gradient. The wood gradient, that gradient, I love it. You're the pro.
All right, so we're gonna put a little bit in each one.
Yeah, I think the only one that doesn't have a pot is the very, very top one.
No pot up here?
Yeah, that one's just a hole.
Pocket?
Yeah.
All right.
That was perfect,
Leave it in
dude.
there for you.
Yeah, thanks, man, for later.
Yeah, dude. All right, and then I guess we'll pull this out for now.
So yeah, what we're doing and what you're seeing right now is we're taking this leca, which is a lightweight expanded clay aggregate. That's why we call it leca. It's just an inert pebble that is just basically there to provide, support for your roots and give it something for the roots to expand and grow into, and overall just make it more stable. So that's what we're doing here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 actual physical potted areas, and then the other areas on the wall, those are just kind of divots created for plants to grow into. So those don't really need the leca, they just need water. Like it?
Yeah, I totally just dropped a pin in there, so I'm gonna have to grab
Oh,
that
that's
in a
fine.
moment. It's going there.
First plant's going in. We're gonna put this nice syngonium right here, right in the middle one. And how we're gonna kind of utilize all of our vining plants is each pot is gonna have a showpiece plant, and then we're gonna take random assorted vines that we have here, and we're gonna put them at the front of there so that they can either grow downwards or we can vine them upwards and out and about. So let's get that first plant in there. Woo! If you can tell, I'm a little excited today, but. Boom. All right, so I am really good at peace lilies, and probably out of this entire project, without Kyle's help, I would have a very hard time finding where these plants go. But this peace lily, I've been eyeballing a spot for it, and I think it's gonna fit perfectly right on this second branch. It has a nice flat area and a nice little opening right here. So we're just gonna see if we can get it snugged in here. I mean, I think it was almost meant to be like that. And over time, these roots will just keep growing down and down, and it'll look amazing. Can't wait. And it kind of hides some of this right here too. Take some of these black lines away. And over time, this peace lily, guys, is going to get huge, especially with it being in the water with all these plant lights on it. I could easily see it getting this tall maybe in like 2 to 3 months. So that'll be amazing. And look what Kyle's got going on over there. So this one is actually from my tank, Daphne's tank in my office. You guys don't know this yet, but we're gonna be making some massive changes in that room. So I was short a bigger peace lily like that to match on the other side. So I just went and grabbed this from Daphne's tank. It already has a bunch of water roots in it. So this one should easily be able to fit over there. But yeah, I think this one looks so good. And you can kind of see how much more healthy this one is compared to the other peace lily that's kind of been, it's been through a lot. It's been through shipping, and it's been through us disturbing its root, and it's been through me trying to convert it to water growth. But this one is amazing. We're gonna see if we can find a spot for it over there. Hi, Kyle.
Hey, man.
Hey, man. All right, so it fits there, but it wants to lean a little bit. So if you see when I let go, it leans like that. But what we can do is we can get some twine, and from the base right here, we can tie it to this big log that it's sitting behind, and that should give it the support that it needs. So let me grab some of that. Kyle, would you be able to tie this knot and I'll hold the plant up?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of just tying it to the back of this
Okay.
because I want this to sit.
So you want me to kind of come in under here and tie it around that way?
Yeah, just like right kind of where my hand is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How tight does it need to be? And then I'm just going to put this on top of it. And then I've been taking these bigger or even the shorter U's, just bringing a few over with me, pinning it up.
So yeah, when you were saying it was gonna fill up fast, it kind of fills up fast.
Yeah.
Right now, we're getting prepped to turn everything on, and as you can tell, the top of the water is covered in coco coir. That's just from the excess getting knocked off the wall. We were anticipating that, but for the first couple fill-ups, I do not want that to get in here. That coco coir will be a menace in these filter socks. So what I'm gonna do for the first couple days until all that coco coir is netted out and just done falling in there, I'm just gonna run the sump without the 2 filter socks. It's gonna be a little bit loud without them in there, but I'm not gonna have to worry about getting these just destroyed before the tank actually starts cycling. So just taking these out. Ooh, it's starting. Oh my God, there it goes.
Wait, really?
I just want to watch this. I just can't believe this is 5 weeks of work just coming to an end. It's crazy. Oh. So that one over there,
Which one's taller?
I think that one is. Let's check. This one's more like splayed out. This one has much bigger leaves.
Let's save the bigger leaf one for the lower one.
For the lower one on the right, and then put this one on the left?
Yeah.
Cool. We're putting this one on the left. If you guys haven't already, this is an Alocasia Regal Shield, and I just discovered this plant for this project, and I feel like it is one of the most beautiful plants. If you look on the underside, just the veins that you can see and all the textures are just incredible. So yeah, we're gonna put these, we're gonna have 2 on either side, and just like Kyle was saying, we're gonna save the bigger one for the right side because it's lower on the wall, so you'll be able to see it better than it's sticking above the wall, so it'll be in the viewing zone. Kyle!
Take one at a time. I'll take the bigger one.
Yeah, that's the big boy for sure. Hands down, one of my favorite plants we put on this wall was this Alocasia Regal Shield. We didn't know how well it would take to the wall. How we put it in the pot was we surrounded it with sphagnum moss and we ran one of our drip lines to it to ensure that the roots would stay nice and moist. And just like that, we were almost halfway done.
Pretend.
You just want to turn, let's just turn on the main return pump, finish planting, and then we'll turn the plant pump on.
Yeah.
Cool, all right. Well, we are finally at the moment where it is filled up and we can turn on our main return pump, and fingers crossed it goes as planned. So let's get it plugged in. Maybe. Oh, I turned on the heaters. That was the wrong one.
Leave that in there.
Well, yeah, leave that in there. I like the honesty, baby. There we go. That's it. Look at that ring it shot out. Did you see that? Tell me you got that on camera.
I think I got the.
Fucking did a perfect O-ring. Let's do Syngonium and a spider plant.
Cool.
I think that would look cool.
middle?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
You think those 2 colors will accent each other, or they're too similar?
No, it'll be good.
Okay. I'll go get this ready. This is the street name is shingle plant,
It's Monstera dubia.
but it's a Monstera dubius. Dubii.
Dubia.
Yeah, dubia, but it'd be looking dubious. Once we got all the major plants out of the way and planted, started filling up the wall with a bunch of vining plants. This one right here just fit perfectly in this position, and Kyle pinned it up to the wall and the roots go in the water. Yeah. Could you hand me a black little clippy?
Do you need a big one or a small one?
Couple big ones.
Big ones? Make more big ones.
Boom. Thank you. One of them just did it perfectly, okay. Zeke, shut your mouth hole. What are we doing right now? Is this product update video, brother?
Yeah, what are we doing?
What are we doing right now? Right now we're watching Harry Potter and holding plants up on the wall while we make some more plant holders. As you can see, it is turning into a jungle very fast. And the one thing we've utilized is some sphagnum moss and the clips to add areas that we don't have water supplying to. So what I can do is, every 2 to 3 days I can come through with a plant spray bottle and just spray down the areas where the sphagnum moss is, just so that really allowed us to fill out the entire wall with our bigger plants having the direct water line. But other than that, if you take a step back, I think this thing is looking like a little jungle. I love it. All right, moment of truth. We are going to turn on the plant pump just so you can see the plumbing that we did here. We're using an Axis 90 from Aqua Illumination, and if you look down in there, the pump that's to the right, that's going to return all the way up the top. And we can come around the back here to give you the full view. But these tubings right here, the clear tubing, those are going all the way up to the wall, and those are going into those manifolds that Kyle made us that we conveniently covered with the Spanish moss. And then those are going to deliver water, hopefully in a trickle, to our little potted area plants. But my first concern is if the pump is going to be strong enough to get it all the way up this wall. I believe it will be. It had a max head height of about, I think, 12 feet. So this is only about 7 feet. And yeah, I guess without further ado, let's plug that bad boy in. I don't even know where to look to see if we'll see water coming out, but we're plugging her in. All right, boys. Let's see.
You might have to click the controller. It's feeding.
Is it?
It's feeding. Wow, it went so evenly. It hit both the 90s at the same time.
You're kidding.
No. No, it's about to start dribbling.
Bro.
Got water on my lights.
Oh. Water on the lights, yeah. They're waterproof though. So we have to cap these two over here. Well, it freaking works. We have water going to everywhere that we need it to go. And we've even found spots where the water is making its way that we didn't expect it, which is pretty cool. But we've reached our first problem. If you come up here, if you notice in certain spots, the water is collecting on some of the wood pieces and drip line. Let me get this plant out of the way. There we go, is that better? Mm-hmm. So now you can see how the water is collecting and it's draining out of the pots like we want it to, but what's happening is it's collecting on some of the lines and some of the wood pieces and it's piling up on the light. Now, aquarium lights are meant to be water resistant, but they're not waterproof. So we want to make sure we fix this up pretty quick because right now it's totally fine to have some water splashing on them. But if it was 24/7, they were just covered in water, they would short circuit very fast and we'd be out some very nice, expensive blade lights. So right now, the fix that Kyle has thought of is taking some long screwdrivers and kind of relieving some water pressure where we know they're coming out of the pots. So we initially drilled holes into our spray foam, but then right after that, we siliconed the wall and we were pretty much thinking that when we siliconed it, it kind of covered up some of those drill points. So we're gonna get in here and you'll see us kind of taking the screwdrivers and poking out some extra drain holes to hopefully relieve the pressure and get it to drain in the areas we want it to. Brother.
I don't think it's gonna just come pouring out of there. That would be cool though.
All right, well, as you can see, our drip wall and plants and water is in the tank and it is looking so good. I just can't get over, we pulled it off. You know, thank you to Kyle for helping out. His manifolds, custom manifolds, worked perfectly. All we had to do, as you just saw, is punch some drainage holes, but that ain't no thing. Right now, I'm probably gonna take the next 3 hours to just kind of net out all the loose coco coir. We still have a whole bunch of plants to put up on the plant wall. I have some Spanish moss to fill into areas that need to be filled in just to give it that little bit more of a detail to it. But we are moving along, and man, we only have 2 more weekends left until this tank is full of fish and 100% complete. So I'm excited to bring you the equipment deep dive next weekend. We're gonna get into adding all of the return pumps, or not the return pumps, the wave makers, and we're gonna be adding our entire Apex Pro system. So that is gonna be a big day. We're gonna get the entire system automated. We're gonna add some leak detection to it, and we're just gonna put 100% tech into this tank and basically just give it what it deserves. All right, so it's been about 2 weeks since we were last here at the tank. Let's dive in and see what we've added since you were last here. Up first, as you'll notice, the water flow is a lot faster. I added these Aqua Illumination Orbit 4 gyre pumps. Yes, that's a mouthful, but these things push water. As you can see the ripples along the top of the water there. These are running at 1% right now, so these have a crazy amount of power. When I first plugged them in, I heard whooshing noises, and I came around the tank, and they were actually pushing up the entire sand bed, so I had to dial these back down to 1% power. Absolutely love these things. And if you can notice, our water's a little brown. That is because I added some botanicals. These are just a mixture of hard-leafed, basically leaves, and they're called botanicals. And what I did was boil these in the pot to reduce some of the tannins. They're still leaching a little bit, but it's actually beneficial for our bacteria ecosystem, and it will actually help our fish out to stay healthy. Beyond that, I think we're all caught up. We added, oh yeah, I added in here, I added our biomedia balls. So if you look in there, Custom Aquarium sent over a bucket o media. That is actually their product name. You get a big old bucket of bio balls, and I added some carbon in there just to help with the initial stages of cycling. And talking about cycling, we are getting to the ugly phase. Our cycle is getting to that phase where the wood's getting all fungusy, the ammonia's spiking, crashing, all of that. So what I've done to combat that is I've added a whole bunch of snails. So you can see one big old snail right there on that piece of wood right there. Snails, some people hate them. I love snails. I feel like snails are one of the best cleanup crew in any tank. They're gonna crawl over every crack and crevice of this wood and eat up all the fungus. And on top of that, I added some little baby mollies. Mollies are incredible at eating any type of algae, and it'll just help cycle this tank even faster. And when we end up adding our big fish in here, those snails and mollies will be an awesome food source for those fish. So without further ado, today is gonna be a bit of a techie, nerdy day. We're gonna be installing a Neptune Apex Pro Series system to control and monitor the entire tank. Now you might be saying, aren't those Neptunes for saltwater tanks? You would be correct in saying that, but I am going to try to adapt a Neptune Apex Pro system to be able to help me monitor, all of my water conditions, control all my lighting, my water flow, and most importantly, I'm really excited to use the Apex leak detectors on this tank because this is the first time I've had a tank this big, and my wife and I are a little nervous about leaks, We made sure all the plumbing is good, but just having that little bit of redundancy and knowing there's something watching this tank is going to be best case scenario all around. So without further ado, let's dive into today's install of the Neptune Apex Pro system. So as you can see on our little project table, we have the Apex Pro A3 bundle kit, which comes with the enhanced energy bar. It comes with the smart controller head unit, which everything plugs into. It comes with their new optical leak detector thing here. And then it also comes with a liquid level sensor. Super excited to get into this. I'm also gonna preface to you guys, I am very new to all of this equipment and technology. So this video is not really gonna be a tutorial for you guys. People out on YouTube have created some amazing guides and tutorials that I was actually watching for about 3 hours last night. So if you're looking for an in-depth guide or tutorial, I would definitely recommend checking those out. This is more so just showing you my experience, showing you how I'm installing it all, and realistically just, you know, having you along the journey and having a good time. But enough of that. We also have another secondary leak detection kit because I want to have 4 spots where this tank is being monitored and sensed on, because I do not want to leak anywhere. So just extra protection there. And then another part of today's project is going to be cable management. So when I do cable management, I do not like using zip ties for a lot of reasons, but instead I like getting these guys here, if I can get one off here. These are literally just Velcro zip ties that you can put this through here, and you can adjust and slap it down just like that. So if you need to make any adjustments down the road, let's say if you need, you know, an equipment goes bad, you need to replace it, or you just don't like where that wire's at, that is way easier than undoing all of your cable ties. It just works a lot better. On top, we also have these little extenders here for the energy bar. When we put this guy on here, when we put the energy bar onto our control board down here, right down here is where that's gonna go. Having all of the huge cords and bulky power units plugged into the bar would stick out too far. So we're gonna be using our little black extension cords to be plugged into the energy bar, and then having this feed through the controller board to have our equipment plugged into it. And then also we got some really good Velcro here just to mount any of our controller boards or any of our equipment to the controller board. Because a tip that I took very well from BRS Live TV when they were going over the Neptune here is they said for about a week or two, keep things Velcroed. You're gonna wanna move stuff, things maybe will work well, or you'll come up with a better idea down the road. Don't screw things in immediately, you know, get some Velcro, it'll help you out down the road. And then last but not least, we have some of these little cable, little channels or guides. So with all of our wires down in the sump, there's gonna be a lot of wires, and I don't want to create any water traps or anything like that. So I'm gonna try to keep our cords up high above the sump's water line. With all of this, not only is that gonna prevent some water damage, but it's also gonna make it look nice, tight, and neaty. This is completely not necessary to run any freshwater tank, but having the extra peace of mind that everything's being monitored by something way smarter than me makes me sleep better at night. So right here you can see this is our, what is that? Apex base unit there. Again, I'm not gonna know the proper names for all of these, but what this is, to my understanding, is basically, if you look down here, this is gonna be basically your smart hub. This is where everything's gonna plug into, and this unit right here is gonna what's driving all of the monitoring and all of the control. So we'll dive into that later when we go plug everything in, but this thing has a nice little spin thing there. We can mount this to our controller board down here. I don't know if you can see that very well, but that'll be right there. And then we'll put our Ecotech Nano controller there and the power board down there. These right here are gonna be 3 separate probes. I believe one is an ORP probe, one is a temperature probe, and the other probe I'm gonna have to oh, it's a pH probe, that's what it is. And to my knowledge, these are brand new probes that Neptune has designed and released. I'm really excited to have them. Part of the video today is we're gonna have to calibrate all 3 of these. Luckily, Neptune includes all the solution you need to calibrate it. So with the temperature probe, we'll get a little cup of water, and we'll get a thermometer. We'll see what that thermometer is reading at, make our adjustments as needed.
pH probe. It comes with a acidic water and a neutral water, so when you test it out, it can calibrate your pH. Let's get that out here. This thing is fancy. So here is that solution I was just talking about. There's that pH of a 10 solution and a pH of a 7 here. Something that I listened to on all the videos I was watching last night, people generally skip calibrating all of their probes. And even the manufacturer Neptune recommends to check all of your probes, because what good is it if you throw your temperature probe in there and it's off by like 6 degrees? That's not gonna be good for your tank, and that's not gonna be good for you. So calibrate your stuff. It is included, and it takes about 10 minutes. Let's get this all neatly set up. Something I always tell you guys is set stuff up neatly and organized, so when you go to install it all, it's not a chaotic mess. So I'm just gonna try to get this all neatly put around. I could show you guys this little thing though. This is gonna be the lifesaver. I called this the Save a Marriage. It's going to monitor all of our leaks. So if any water touches any of this right here, it's an optical sensor that will sense water. And the good part about their new leak probes is they're not one-time use. I heard their older model of leak probes, once it got wet, you had to replace it because it was a contact strip on the bottom that once it hit water, it wasn't good anymore. So we got their new leak probe there. We got the water sensor. I think it's a liquid level sensor. But what it's going to do is I can put it in any chamber of my sump, and if water falls below a certain level, I'll know it's time for me to add water and top up the system. Pretty cool feature there. Oh, and then we got our energy bar. This is basically the most fanciest power strip you will ever find. This thing, do not consider these as just regular outlets. Whenever I plug a heater into this outlet, this is now the heater. This is not an outlet. This is going to be monitoring your heater. It's going to be controlling your heater. And something cool that Neptune does is it tracks the amount of power each device will be using. And you might be wondering, well, how is that useful? Well, two ways. One, the app actually allows you to put in what your area pays per kilowatt on hour, and it'll tell you the average estimated cost to run your entire tank. So you'll be able to see how much power everything's using, and it'll tell you how much that's going to cost per billing cycle. Another thing that's really cool with the power monitoring is if, let's say your return pump is plugged into here, your return pump generally needs a certain amount of wattage and volts to be running properly. And Neptune will keep track of that. And if it ever sees it fall below the recommended wattage or volts for that piece of equipment, it'll alert you and say, hey, something's wrong with your return pump. It's drawing way less power than normal. There's something wrong with it, check it out. There could be a snail in your return pump. It could be clogged, it could be dirty. It's just another thing that Neptune does to help you ensure your tank is running safe and perfect. So we'll get this put out there. I'm assuming this is just the holder, the clip for our liquid water sensor. It is. We'll get that figured out later. We're gonna have to do some fitting here and there because these, I haven't seen one go into a seamless sump from Custom Aquariums, but hey, we're gonna make it work. It's not gonna be the most fanciest, and something about this is I'm learning as we go. So, within a month or so, I'm sure I'm gonna learn more cool things that this can do. I'm sure I'm gonna wanna change up the layout of it all, but for now, we're just gonna dive in, have some fun, show you guys the process, and get one step closer to finishing this 240-gallon paludarium. Oh, hey there. So basically what we're doing on this side is I'm getting all of our cords that are run from the two lights and the gyre over here, and I'm kind of trying to cable manage them up top so we don't get any water drips. And I just kind of want to run these along the sides here. And what I'm doing is I'm using these little doodads. If you can see here, they're just little clips. They're not permanent, and you can just kind of take them in and out like that. They kind of open up just like so. And if you can see, they're a perfect little diameter to fit all the three cords we have. So I'm gonna probably put another one right there and put a couple more to lead them over to our controller board. As you can see here, this was a lot easier than I was initially anticipating. What we did, or what Kyle did, and he showed me a really cool trick,
is on the back on all the mounting plates. If you put a piece of blue tape on there and then you use a pen to find where your drill points are, you can put the piece of tape where you want to drill so you know you're lining it up just where you wanted. And realistically, we were going to kind of mock this up and just kind of see where everything fit. But when we just dived into it, everything fit just where we wanted it. We have our hub unit here. We have our return pump control here. We have our plant wall pump right here. And we also have our leak detection kit, our FMM module, and then we have our energy bar mounted here. And like I was saying earlier, we're going to use all those black extension cords, which are right here. And these are just going to plug into here, and they're going to feed through these holes on the bottom. And all the cords are going to be run back to the back side. And it looks like a mess right now, but we're going to use this little stool. We're going to put this stool in the back there and have the power bar resting on top of this with all of the huge bricks. I know you've seen them. Let me see here. These big bricks, pretty much all equipment nowadays are going to have these massive bricks. And I don't want anything on the floor of the stand. So we're just going to use that little shelf to hold up the power bar and these little bricks. So we're going to keep running some cords here. It'll probably take a while. We're cable managing, but we're just going to keep showing you bits and pieces of it and check on in when we make progress as we go. So let's keep going. And then back through here. You got it. Woo!
Are we just cable managing right now?
Yeah, we're just cable managing. This is the return pump. And I kind of just had them all over the place just to start it and get the tank cycling. But now we're getting their final locations. What box did this come out of?
That was one of the big products in
Out
the
of that
actual
one.
Apex box. So yeah, that,
Okay.
that probably actually goes from the head unit
To the bar.
to the
Yep.
bar.
Yep. Yeah, because the only two cords that the doser needs are over here.
Okay.
These carry power to them, both. All right, so what we're trying to figure out right now is we're not setting up the doser and reservoir today just because I don't have the liquids that I'm putting in my reservoir. And honestly, we would just run out of time with all the cable management and setting up the full Neptune system. But what we're running into is just making sure we have enough cord length so I can have the doser and reservoir over here on this nice stand. Not only does it look good, but it'll also function really well because I can have my cords coming off the front here, going into the doser tubes right down here. And these things are just amazing. Not only is this just a perfectly built reservoir, it actually has liquid laser guides in it that keep track down to the milliliter how much fluid you have in those containers. So I can just pull up my app and I can see each one of the containers and see what their level's at. So right now we're measuring for the Apex app. The app, we're setting it up right now. We got everything plugged in and ready, but it looks like we need to get into the app to actually program everything so it knows what to do. And for the new aquarium setup, it was wondering what the size is. So it's 24, 96, 24. We'll hit continue. And this is all new to me, so we're gonna learn together, but it looks like we are using the new A3 Pro series, which is that one. And we'll hit continue there. Open up the box, make sure you got everything. We installed, well, let's go over here. We have the Apex Pro base unit, check. This is really cool that they do this actually. We got the energy bar unit, boom. Temperature probes, I remember seeing all three of them, boom, boom, boom. Liquid level sensor, we got that. Optical leak detector, we got that guy. And then the calibration packets, we got those. Hit continue. Let's do Wi-Fi. Connect to energy bar. Power on energy bar, cool. I see the blue logo on the Pro unit. I think we'll sit sure. Hey, they found it. Connect. Oh, and it uses 5 gigahertz networks. Oh, it's not supported, so it has to use a 2.4. So you pretty fly for a Wi-Fi. Yep, you know that's me. And this one is
And let's see if I remember the password off first go. That'd be impressive.
Hey, success. We're gonna go ahead and hit finish setup right there. Welcome home. All right, so it is the I think the sixth weekend of all of us coming together for the Custom Aquariums 240 gallon open air paludarium. I am here to show you the last weekend of us finalizing this tank. I'm gonna give you a quick little update on where we're at, where everything's looking. There are a couple issues I want to address today, and then finally later on today we're gonna be adding all of the Severums and Geophagus to this tank to really bring it to life. Catching you up to where we're at, there are a couple things I've done off camera. It's been a wild build of just tinkering and tinkering with it, but overall I'm extremely happy. First thing that you might notice is we have some plants drooping. I was expecting about 30 to 40% of these plants to die when you take plants from a soil substrate and you put them into water growth. Sometimes it just doesn't go as planned. And that's totally normal, totally natural. We have backup plans. I have all my plants in my fish room. I'm gonna take some of those Monsteras and Pothos, and I'm gonna have Kyle help me out, taking all of the dead plants out, and we're basically just gonna fill it in with plants that are already accustomed to growing in water. So I know that'll finalize the plant wall. And then second, one of the issues we ran into is if we come over here, we've actually had a little water leak right here, not a leak, but where we put a drainage hole, it started draining on top of the light. And unfortunately, with all that water, it burnt out this light. But luckily, I have another aqua illumination blade to put on there. But yeah, once we get those two issues, the plants and the light sorted, we're gonna be able to clean out the 125 and start catching all of our fish to throw them in here. And I can't wait to show you the final results with all of the fish in here. The only ones we're not adding are the Bashirs, because personally, I don't think that they're safe in here. I think the Bashirs will want to come out. So probably the last step next weekend is I'm going to take some mesh netting and I'm kind of just going to try to cover the top of this aquarium. I've been growing those Bashirs out for like 2 years and I do not want to lose them. I love them a lot. They're super cool and I wanted them to be the main showpiece for this tank. So without further ado, let's get these plants taken care of. Let's get that light taken care of. And it's time to move these guys over into the 240. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take some of these sticks out. We're gonna take the lids off, maybe some of the rocks, drain her down a little bit, and everybody's gonna get moved into the 240 except for the Bashirs until I figure out a netting situation for the top of the tank. But yeah, we're gonna just film up this process. Netting these guys is gonna be a pain, especially those barbs there, because once they know you have a net in that tank, they are wild. I have seen them completely bury themselves in the sand. I have seen them jump out of the tank, hit a light, hit the floor. It's gonna be an adventure, so we'll keep the camera rolling for you guys, and we're just gonna net them up one by one as we catch them. So let's get into it. Do you wanna start with sticks, and I'll get the Python and CJ to drain?
Sure.
Cool.
Sure.
Kyle is a pro at catching fish and he has way more experience than I do. So I think it's just gonna work out better for him to give it a good old go on it. We're pretty confident we can snag some of them without draining the water, but obviously with those barbs and maybe once a lot of them figure out that they're getting netted up, we're gonna have to drain the water a little bit, but that's not a big issue at all. Let's start catching some fish and throwing them in the 240.
All you, Kyle.
All you, Kyle. Here we go.
No pressure with the camera or anything.
He's like, please, There's a fish in that tank. They're snaking my boots. Instantly looks smaller. No way. Holy hell.
Which ones are you trying to avoid?
I'm not avoiding any, but
The Bashirs.
Well, the big
Yeah.
stick guys, yeah.
Are those underneath? Are they right here right now?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Oh yeah, and there's 2 plecos in there we can throw in. They're on to you, Kyle.
Oh, they're gonna get it though.
They're gonna get it though.
Ooh, that fish looks wild. Dude, when these severums get netted, it's gonna be something. It's gonna be something.
Dude, yeah.
I'm so
You're gonna have to let that.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Wild. Wild. Did you get that on camera? Okay, perfect. Is your camera okay?
Yeah, we're fine.
Okay, cool.
I've sent this thing to the ringer.
Okay.
My dad's dropped it.
Really?
Yeah.
Come here, Biggie. Let's go outside. Come on, Zeke. Come on, Zeke.
You got the 3 of them.
Nice. Huge. All right, well, after 2 years, I'm finally ready to give you guys kind of an end cap, my end thoughts on this entire build. It has been an absolute experience and a half, and I just wanted to go over some of my experiences with this tank, where we've landed with it all, update you on the fish, update you on the plants, and overall, just show you it in its best stage and how it looks today. When this started about 2 years ago, I had a dream of creating a mega tank that had a huge plant wall on top of it. I had no idea where to start, so with me talking with Bulk Reef Supply, my man Cade was like, you know what? I believe in your dream, I believe in your vision, let me help you out. And I was lucky enough to have him put me in contact with the guys over at Custom Aquariums, and they were able to take my vision of having a 8-foot long, 240-gallon tank with an immersed plant wall on the back here. So a lot of people wonder what this back support is. It's literally just a solid piece of glass that goes all the way to the top that has 2 drill points on either end. And what we did was we took spray foam, coco core, little slotted mesh pots, and we just placed them all over the back and have it all drip down into the tank. And it is working like a dream. You can already see these peace lilies are starting to bloom here. We have, you know, the Spanish moss on here. We have the pothos up here, and we have these giant monstera leaves up here. It's just growing in amazing. Obviously, there's plants in here that are still kind of somewhat adjusting, but you know, like every plant, that's kind of what happens. And with this setup, it's so easy to kind of take plants out, put new ones in, and with most of them, as you can see, they're just kind of pinned into the spray foam with the roots going right into the tank. So it kind of gives that, you know, natural vines in the river flow feel, and I am just in love with it. The fish love it. I noticed a while ago these fish were a little bit jittery in the 125, and just watching them be able to have this much space has been incredible. So overall, this tank is a beast to clean. Doing my water change and maintenance routine on this is definitely a full day project. It takes me around, I think, about an hour or two to, you know, clean the glass up, clean the intakes out, trim up any plants. You know, doing water changes on it takes about, I know, an hour to drain down halfway and another hour to fill back up. So this is definitely a whole day maintenance thing. But the way we set it up with the plants is it doesn't need maintenance as frequent as a regular aquascape. It literally just exists for about a month until I notice, you know, my parameters are a little off, the glass gets a little cloudy, but it's just super easy and a dream to take care of. Talking about equipment, on the sides here, we have the Aqua Illumination Orbit 4, the cross-flow gyre pumps. These things produce so much water flow. If you look across the surface here, this is what's keeping the top of the water crystal clear. I have them angled up here. And then with the main return pump, we're using the Vectra pump from Bulk Reef Supply, the Ecotech Marine one. And something I did when we were finished with this project, and I didn't really get it on camera, was we set up this awesome little control board. And this just makes it super easy for me to understand, you know, what each one of my plugs are doing. So when I want to do maintenance, I can unplug certain things, you know, take the heaters offline, take the pumps offline, And then the Apex Pro, a lot of people will say that's kind of overkill, but for me, the main thing this Apex Pro is running are my leak detectors and my temperature and pH. That is just kind of having a peace of mind to monitor all my equipment, make sure there's no drip leaks, make sure all my equipment is functioning properly. With something this big and being literally in the middle of my living room, I wanted to make sure all safeguards were accounted for and measured. This has just been a dream. I could probably go on for another hour talking about how much I love it, but what we're gonna do is kind of just give you some nice shots of the plants, give you some nice shots of the fish, and in general, I just wanna say thank you to Bulk Reef Supply and Custom Aquariums for believing in my vision. This is the largest project I've ever worked on, and it took close to 2 years from me wanting this to happen and us being done. So thank you guys so much for believing in me. If you're watching this video and you're interested in any of the equipment, or you're interested in getting a custom built aquarium of your own, be sure to check out Custom Aquariums and Bulk Reef Supply. And if you want to go back and see how I did any of this, subscribe to my channel, hit that like button, and thank you so much for watching and following along on my aquascaping journey.